But here in the Holy Land, we have, almost for each feast, we have some traditions related to this feast, and also some food that we eat or some fruit that we take. Like the lighting of fire in every village and city in Palestine. The tradition tells us that Constantine was waiting for a sign when he sent his mother Helena to Jerusalem that announced the good news of the discovery of the Holy Cross. So lighting fire in all the top of mountains from Palestine to Constantinople was the sign. Now in every parish, if you go to our parishes, you will find people preparing for a big fire. This will be lit after the Mass, after the celebration in the church. Another tradition is the offering of pomegranates that as a typical fruit of this land, and which with its red seeds and juice symbolizes the suffering and the shedding of blood on the cross, but also the transmission from the bitterness of the cross to the sweetness of the new life in the resurrection. This paper will be divided into two major topics, as you have in front of you the paper that you have. First, the historical approach. We will see about the accounts related to the founding of the cross, the feast of the dedication, the relic of the cross, and the captivity of the cross by the Persians. And the second topic, middle topic, is the liturgical and theological approach. The liturgical celebration of the cross during the Good Friday and the veneration of the Holy Relic in the liturgical traditions. We begin with the historical approach. First, the account or legend of the invention of the Holy Cross. From where came this legend? From which sources? You know maybe a little bit about the story that related to this feast, that King Emperor Constantine sent his mother Helena to Jerusalem in order to find the Holy Cross. And when she found it, she gave him a sign, which is lighting on the top of all the mountains from Palestine, from Jerusalem to Constantinople, fire. You know, at that time, no telephones, nothing. So that was the sign. Now, from where and how Saint Helena discovered the relic of the Holy Cross? There are many legends or accounts related to this story. Early, an account of the invention of the true cross circulated in Rome, based on the story about the baptism and healing of Constantine. We have as guarantor the direct pseudo-Gelasian from the 6th century. The account has come down to us in three main forms. Firstly, the doctrine of Addai. Addai comes from Iraq, from the 4th or early 5th century. A legend from the Church of Edessa, or also from Eusebius, the big historian of the church, attributes the discovery of the true cross not to Saint Helena, but to Protonike, wife of the Vice Emperor Claudius, under the reign of Tiberius and the episcopate of St. James. We are speaking about 62 AD, means mid of the 1st century. To decide between the three crosses, a miracle indicates the death of Christ when her daughter rose from death. Now we know that this miracle happened with Saint Helena from the 4th century. Now there is an account that gives us that it is from the 1st century. Secondly, towards the end of the 4th century, the honor of discovery is attributed to Saint Helena by authors whose childhood is contemporary with the journey of this empress to Palestine. The most important account is the one of Saint Ambrose, 395 AD. In his De Obito Theology, it's a book about the death of Theodosius, Ambrose lingered a long time describing the Saint Empress's inspired search for the true cross and means. The recognition of the true cross found buried with the two others is obtained by means of a still legible title inscribed on the wood of the cross. In the same time, we have St. John Chrysostom's that we have his feast today account between 390s, 395, who shares St. Ambrose the details. So we have important fathers of the church who spoke in their books about this finding the cross by St. Helena. We have also St. Paulinus of Nola from the 3rd or 4th century, who added to the account that Helena ordered the Jewish elders to assemble so as to learn from them the location of the buried cross. And then the real cross was recognized through the resurrection of a man. First we have resurrection form and now a man. Then we have Rufinus of Aquileia, 345, 410. And among the Greek we have Socrates, Scholasticus from the 4th, 5th century, Sozame from also the 4th and 5th century, Theodoret, 4th, 5th century, especially Rufinus and Socrates, who recorded further details in their histories, like the name of the Bishop of Jerusalem, Macarius, and we know this figure very well, the one who built, by order of Constantine, the Holy Sepulchre for the first time during the Byzantine period. At the time of the finding of the cross, Rufinus writes that the recognition of the true cross occurs through the resurrection of a woman. Thirdly, we have Sozame. Sozame was a Palestinian historian from Gaza, when Gaza was completely Christian. Mentions to dismiss a legendary story in which St. Helena intervenes, as it is recorded in the legend of Judas the Syriac. In this account, Helena receives the aid from this Jewish person who converted to Christianism, and not from Macarius, the Bishop of Jerusalem. So here we have another account that tells us that Helena received the aid not from Macarius, the Bishop of Jerusalem, but from a Jewish converted to Christianism. So this is a little bit the legendary and the legend and accounts that tells us the story of the finding of the Holy Cross. In the Holy Sepulchre, we conserve until now the grotto or the well where was found the 3 crosses buried in this place. So the first thing that Helena did is digging on the ground and finding the 3 crosses in this well. Here we have, maybe you visited this place, I'm sure. Here we have the statue of St. Helena in this place, the Holy Sepulchre, and this stone shows where exactly Helena found the Holy Cross of Christ. Now, what is the origin and the historical origin of the feast of the Holy Cross, apart of the legend accounts? The first thing that we have to retain and to see is that this feast is related to a very big feast from the 4th century, which is called the Incaenia. It's a Greek word, now we'll see what it means, but it means directly the dedication and it tells us the story of the dedication of the Holy Sepulchre. So, the Feast of the Holy Cross, like that of presentation of Christ, is in fact of Palestinian origin and related to a historical and ecclesiastical event, not biblical. I mean here imperial origin. It is in fact the anniversary of the dedication of the two Constantinian basilicas erected on Calvary, with the zone around it, the martyrium and the one of Anastasis above the sepulchre of Christ. Here you have the map. In order to understand this conference, maybe first of all we have to understand the architecture of the Holy Sepulchre. What we have now, what you visited in Jerusalem, is not the one that you have here. What you see now is a crusade basilica. Now, Constantine built this one. It is like a compound of churches, not just one church, that takes three important places. First of all, the Anastasis, which is the place of the tomb of Christ. Then we have the crucifixion, it means the Golgotha, where is where Jesus Christ crucified and died. And also we have the martyrium. The martyrium is the biggest church that is not existing today, where its doors opens on the souk. It means the Cardo Maximus of Jerusalem. It means the big street that divides Jerusalem into two parts. So imagine how big was the Holy Sepulchre from the 4th century. Okay? Now on the martyrium, there we have here this place is the well where Elena discovered the relic of the Holy Cross. With the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, Christianity became a religio licita. It means a licit religion, authorized religion. The church is recognized as a society, and Christians require civil and religious rights. Faith is growing faster. The enthusiasm for the places sanctified by Christ increases to the point that Palestine becomes a magnet for the Christians of the world. During this time, imperial generosity raises beautiful basilicas that tell the mysteries of Christ. In Jerusalem, Constantine sent his mother and Helena, by order of her son, she built not just the Holy Sepulchre, but also the Nativity Church in Bethlehem, and 3 other churches on the Mount of Olives. Jerusalem has become, at the time of Constantine, a proper Christian city. It is called City of Christians, according to the testimony of a 7th century author. In fact, Christians in general throughout the Roman Empire have multiplied rapidly. On the eve of the Constantine peace, the number of Christians is estimated to 5% and even 10% of the population of the empire. So we find all of Palestine as the homeland of Christians divided into many dioceses. Here we have Anastasis, the church, the compound, as a 3D, as you see here. And also, here there's a comparison between the actual crusade church and the original one that doesn't exist anymore. And here you can see in the map from the 6th century, you can see how many churches there were in Jerusalem at that time, Byzantine time period. And you can see how big was the Holy Sepulchre. You can see from here the rotunda or the Anastasis, the throne of Christ, and it arrives until the big corridor, street, with Bab al-Amoud, with Damascus Gate, and from here you walk, and the doors of the church opens to this street. And you can see here in this small map, the map of Palestine, where all these names are not just names of cities, but they are names of dioceses. You imagine, all Palestine was Christian at that time. And the biggest place or headquarters of the church was not Area or Jerusalem, but was Caesarea.